all you devils out there. Sam here with you on a Friday, July 20th. And if it's Friday, it's a Bitcoin Friday. So we're going to dig in here and see if we can get some idea of what's happening here. Now, it's kind of interesting. I waited a little bit today. I want to do this a little bit later to see if we got some resolution here because we've just been going sideways for the last 2 days. And interestingly, seems like we got a little push here that might offer a little bit more insight. So, you know, a lot of times what I'll do when I'm starting these videos is I'll just clear the screen and just start from scratch and just to see if the, you know, maybe prior counts can bias you to the point where you're just not seeing something that's staring you right in the face. So all I've done here is that so we're on Bitstamp here. I've got a 4-hour, and I just started from this pivot up here. And just said, well, what can we see with absolute clarity? And I just started from the top and worked my way down. And we do very clearly have a series of, well, we have back-to-back impulsive waves. So, and they're quite technical. So if I look here, assuming I've got this label right, and then I think it would be hard to label it any other way. So this is my 2 down to my 3. I look for a reaction here. I look for, get that right on there. Looking for my 4. Now, ideally, we're 4 between the 38 and the 50. We get a couple of wicks through, get right into the Vegas wave, and then we come to our target here to the tick. Right? So first thing we can establish is not only do I have an Elliott count here, I've got a perfect algo swing. All right, so I feel pretty good about calling this a completed 5 wave. All right, I don't think we continue. I think we complete here. Then we get a little 3-wave correction, right? So it's always a matter of trying to identify the 5s and the 3s. All right, so here's my 5, here's my 3. Now, that's a shallow retracement. There's no question about it, right? So if I put this on here and we look at that retracement for either a 2 wave or a B wave, it's shallow, right? Doesn't even make the 38. So we're in low percentage here with regards to how frequently we see a retracement of a completed, in this case, impulse going that shallow. So what do you deduce from that? Well, weak market. Right? I mean, that's, you can try and read the tea leaves there, but ultimately, the market's so weak, it can't even make the 32. It can't even make a traditional retracement here. So down we go again. Well, if we allow for this as the correction of this 5, well, it would appear that we go yet again into another very technical impulse, right? So from my pivot here, 1, 2, 3, 4, and we come down, we double bottom into this 5. Well, let's check that same thing. So we'll grab the 2 to the 3, look at it. Well, this time it's right in the sweet spot here. We come right to the 38. All right, we get a little through, so we're in between the 38 and the 50. And we come down here. Now, this I would call a front run on the target. In fact, we get it twice here. Effectively, we're double bottoming. So 5, 3, 5. Okay, so just thinking about our basic Elliott wave rule set, that would suggest that one candidate here is that we've just got a zigzag, 5, 3, 5. So that would suggest that this is corrective and creates the possibility, nothing more than the possibility here, that if that's a 5, 3, 5 zigzag that's bottom down here, the most likely next sequence here, if we're going to just stay with the idea of patterns that repeat, is that we go into potentially some sort of a new motive wave, right? Could be a diagonal, could be impulsive, but if this is corrective and it's completed, odds are we're going into some sort of a motive. All right, well, let's think about that. Now, there's plenty of pivots to work with here as I scrunch this up. All right, lots of pivots to work with. So we can let's work back. Let me open this up a little bit here. We don't need we all know the top was at 20. So now I'm looking at this sequence here. Well, if I take my absolute high here and I start doing that same thing, we're looking for my 5s and my 3s. Well, here I can make the case here that I have a potential 1, 2 because we do not overlap here. Now, that's unusual for a 2 to go that high, but technically we do not overlap there. On no exchanges is this swing here higher than that swing. So this is a real candidate here for a second. Well, it would appear that I just kind of glancing at it here, I can come down here and get another 5. So this 5 here means that if I've got 5 this is correcting, and then I've gone into this 535 for a zigzag. Well, this has to be corrective in some way. Well, this is where it gets a little tricky, because it's very easy to look at this, very easy, and think, oh, okay, well, here's a 1, 2, looks like that's some sort of a 3, guess that's my 4, and I go into a 5 here. Well, that doesn't make sense, does it, right? So we can't have a 5 corrected by a 5 and then go to new lows. Now, we could have had 5 down and then 5, 3, 5 going up, but to have another 5 followed by 2, 5, it doesn't work, right? So we run out of options here, well, assuming we've got our Elliott hats on here and we're trying to understand where we are in the sequence. Then this can't be a 5. Now, certainly given now that we've put in new lows here. Can't have a 5 here. So what does that leave? Well, it means we've got to reshuffle this and think that more likely this is what happened here. And we've ended up with a very skinny. Now, let me get that degree down. So let's get that. We'll get down something we can work with. Okay, so I do very much have a good 5 wave to this top. But then I've got this little kicker I got to deal with. So what are some options? What was it technical? Well, so we look here, taking the length of the 3, we come right to the Vegas wave, get it, and we get here first, hover, and get second, actually get through second. So you think, okay, well, what is this here then? So what does that leave? Well, if this is corrective, it only leaves one option for us. So this has to be some sort of an A, some sort of an ugly B down here, and then a very skinny C. I mean, you know, if let's dig into that, just that spot right here. So if we think about that, given that I've got a completed 5 here, yeah, you know, yeah, I mean, could be, so you might think, oh, could A, B, C come down in here into a B? Maybe. So then we'd have, so if this is A and then I go A, B, C, so we can certainly look at this and think, oh, okay, maybe I've got A, B, C here. Well, then I don't get exactly a great looking C wave coming out of it. This is going to be A. So again, let me try and put it together here. So we'd have the possibility here that we had A, B, C. Now let me change that color and we'll go up a degree so you can follow me here. All right, so does that work? Well, I don't love the truncated C there. And then you got to deal with this. But, you know, we do see these truncated Cs. It's you know, again, if you were trying to script it the way that to get the most confidence about where we are and what's happening, that's not the pattern you'd end up with. And we get kind of this. You'll note here we've got this kind of thing happening here that we see all the time. We get this kind of a triangle action here. So the little kick up here. Now I'm on a 4 hour, so if I go down to the 1 hour here, now that's going to screw me up here. I got to recenter. So let me get over here. Let me scrunch here, see if I can find it. There we go. Okay, so this little kicker up here. All right, so does that make sense? Could this be A, B, C, and then I've gone up into a little C? Well, let's see if I can get 5 there. Do I have a decent 5 to give me that C? Well, it looks like I do. So if I dig in here now, this is my C, and I come here, it looks like, well, that's certainly a candidate for a 1-2. Looks like I've got a good impulse. Looks like I've got a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into a 3 here. It looks like that could be my 4, and then it looks like I end in a diagonal. So even on this last little swing up here, if I complete this, it looks like I can get a diagonal in here. So if I work from this, if this is my low here, so let's see, I might have to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 gets me done. I'm gonna have to go down to let me go down to a 30-minute. Oh God, that is the frustrating thing when you do that. So let's scrunch back up, figure out where I was. There we go. All right, so let's get back in there. Now, does that work? Can I squeeze that in? Am I forcing the fit here? Well, you know, it's a little tricky as to where the 4 is here, because it looks like we might have the 4 here. So then I can get 5 there. I mean, I don't feel like I'm forcing that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Up we go for the 5. Of course, we can check it, right? We want to just even down here on this degree here. Let's see, how do we look here for this 2 to this 3? Well, right between the 38 and the 50, a couple of wicks at the target, and then we scream over. So So I can live with this. I think that's a candidate here as an ABC. Let's go up a degree here. I don't think we're force fitting there. It's technical. So if we're coming from this as a C here, I've got a 1, 2, it's all clean. I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I finish with a 5. So I'll go up a degree here. So if we backtrack, we can see it. So let me go up, we'll go to micro. All right, so they're now squeezing back out. All right, so this is very, very, very reasonable. I don't feel like we're force fitting here. Now again, you wouldn't ideally script this very short C relative to the A, yet we don't violate any Elliott rule set. It's all clean, and from that, I fall over. As we start to roll over, I come down, and yet again, another good clean 5. So, there are a couple of different ways. This is 1, 2, likely 3, 4, and I come down here and I get another 5. So yet again, it's very technical. So from my 2 here to my 3, right? Do we see it? So here we come, Vegas wave 38, right to target. Retrace. Okay, all good. So I'm trying to think, like, so what if you take away the benefit of this hindsight? If you're sitting here on the hard right edge of the market, this is not an unreasonable place to be short. Now you look at that and you think, okay, if that's done down here, where am I looking? Let me get it all the way up here. Where am I looking for my second? Well, we're looking for the second between the 50 and the 786, and we don't make it, right? So this is that. It's kind of that personality we're getting from Bitcoin, where we're getting these difficult twos, the terrible twos, I've called them. So we're shallow here. So if you were looking for that short, you would have been left hanging. You just don't get up there. I would not have chased that. I would not have, if that started to go, I would not have chased it. I would been looking up here between the 50 and the 618. We don't get it. Okay, so down it comes. Well, how do we move when we come down? Well, it sure looks like I've got a solid 5, a skinny 2, no doubt, and then a straight rip down, so I've got a decent impulse here. So if I think about where that's gone and look for measurement, well, let's see what do the numbers tell us. So if I hear from my pivot here, if this is a 1 and this is a 2, does that work as a 3? Well, here's 100%. So we're not right to the tick on anything, but that certainly looks impulsive. It's just stagger, stagger, stagger. It's just straight down, hover, down, hover, down, hover. That is very impulsive, right? Very, very clearly sellers are in control. Then we get this. All right, let's check that. All right, I'm kind of redoing this here because we just looked at this from this 2 to this 3 here. Well, I'm right here. It's a little deep for a 4, but we don't overlap the 1. No challenge to it. Don't quite make the 618, but then look at this, to the tick. All right, so I'm very technical. So again, assuming I didn't know what was coming, that sure looks like I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like I've completed down here. So then you think, could this be A, B, C? No, it doesn't look like it's done. So it looks like all I've got here is I've just got a completed 5 wave. So what am I looking for? So I'm looking for 3. To correct it. Well, up we go here to see how I look for a full correction of the entire thing. Yet again, I'm left hanging here on a 2. So if this is, so only so many choices here. If this is 1, 2, well, yet again, shallow 2, right? The terrible 2s, there they are. Can't even get to the 50 where you'd look for it. So if you're, without the benefit of this hindsight, if you're over here thinking, hey, I've got a clean 5. Where's my next entry for the sell? Wouldn't that be perfect? Here's my 1. Here's the 50. Likely resistance. We've been here before and it's sold off. Nope, can't do it. Keeps going. So I've completed here. I can't ignore a completed 5 wave. And I've got a 3 wave correcting it, albeit it's very shallow. Well, but there it is, right? So we start going down again. So what do I come down here? Well, something impulsive. I've got a straight shot down. After a 5, and I keep going. Well, so, it eliminates possibilities. So you think, well, could this be 1, 2, 3? Well, possibly, right? So that's something we'll visit here. So I've got a completed 5, I've got a completed 3, and then I keep going. Well, let's just dig into it again. So how's this 2 going to look? Well, if that's a completed retracement of a 5, and this is some sort of a 1, come here, down to my 2, Well, I'm a little better here. At least I make the 50, so I can see likely that's an algo kicking in on a front run on the 50. Down we go. All right, so it starts, now we're starting to look a little bit better. Now here you can see this clearly, no question. I'd like to think there's no question about what happened there. All right, so that's 50, front run on the 50. They get right to target. Reaction, that would be profit taking, but yet we've got more to go. So after the profit taking, we roll over again. All right, so second target, front run on the second target, probably. So we keep going. All right, so what do I have now? Well, I can certainly, as I come down, I can get another 5 in that. So if that's a 2 and I'm going to go down for a 3, well, I absolutely mandatory, not optional, have to get an impulse out of that. Do I have one? Well, no doubt about it. So is it technical? So let's take the 2 to the 3. Well, we're a little skinny, but in this case, in a weak market, just making the 23 and then rolling over, bears in full control. We get 2, slight reaction, rip right through it, so bears in control. All right, well, there's my completed 2 to my 3. I've got my completed impulse. So if that's 1, 2, 3, where am I looking for the 4? I'm looking for it right between the 30, well, really between the 23 and the 38. I get the 38 and I roll over, and then I end up down here. And I've got this little front run here on my 5. So again, now working through all of that, what are the options as Elliott traders? What are the options for us? Well, we've completed. Again, I get back to where we started. All we've done is complete a 5-3-5. Let's get back here. All right, so 5, 3, 5. Now, could this be 3? Well, that's something we got to take a serious look at. So we look here and we say, okay, well, wait a minute. What could I be missing? Now, in the bullish count, allowing for this to be a pivot down here, I guess in this case, from here, we'd have this 5, and yet we finish again. I forgot to do this one. All right, so from here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish it. All right, so leaving, so in the larger degree, so we might have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So could this be A, B, C? No, that's what a bull sees. So from here, what I see is coming down here, there's A. Oops. Sorry guys, let's try that again. I guess I missed a click. Let's try it again here. So from up here, there's my 0 to my A, to my B, to my C down here. Let's change that. We'll go to blue, and we'll go up a degree here so you guys can see it. All right, so so that's certainly a reasonable scenario that I've got 5, 3, 5. Well, all right, so let's think about it. So, and I've shown this last time. This as my B wave here, before we go into this last 5. This has been a pivot that has been of significance. So if we look here from this, at the start of this clean 5, and I go down to my low, well, interesting. All right, so as we went up, so we got a little resistance at the 38. Back down we go. Here's the big boom. We blow right through the 50. Now we hovered there. We went into the golden zone, hovered. It looked like it was reasonable that we might be pivoting here in the golden zone before we fall over, and potentially we have a 4 and a 5 to get up here. That looked pretty reasonable. Well, we had struggled, so that resistance, so the hold of the golden zone was suggesting that, you know, we could be just misinterpreting this, that we might have just another. So if this is going to be a 1, 2, 3, this could just be 4. Well, this now is yet again another potentially encouraging sign for bulls. So we've broken that pivot. So no longer are we tied to this as a potential resistance zone playing on that 65. Well, having broken that now, that's a good potential sign here. So I got to. Here, I'm going to clean some of this up so I can get that pivot, get that out of there since we've been through that. So I want this pivot right here. This is my high. So working from that high, and I go down to my absolute low right here. Well, what have we done now? Well, so far, if we're working back to it, well, we're still not to the 50 just yet. So not out of the woods by any means. This is the next 65. So this 85, we'll call it 80. We'll call it 85, 25. That's going to be a critical, at least as it is here on Bitstamp. That's going to be a critical level for us. So if we put that all together, just swing high, swing low, we're yet to the 50. So again, as it's well established here. I'm a bull here, so I'm seeing this as a 1, 2, 3, 4 is coming. Now let's measure this. So let me open this up here so we can look at this, because that resistance level here that we just broke through also had some significance for us here on the bull camp, going from our 1 down to our 2. Now, we're looking for highest probability zone for a third is between the 1618 and the 175. Well, likely what you have there is just a front run on that. So that's close enough for me to say that's a high probability for my third. So if I allow for that, with that established, now what am I looking for? Well, I'm looking for my 4, and I'm looking for that to be technical. So from my pivot low down here to this current high that we've just put in. Now it looks to me like I got to tighten this up down here. So give me 1 second. These have to get tightened as you move from time frame to time frame. All right, so let's get our candidate here for a 2 in. Now let's get it back out here. So we got up into this upper channel here. This parallel had been some resistance. So it's not unreasonable to think that we might look for our 4 here at the median line. So if we open this up here, we'd be looking for something, if we're going to come down, come here. If we're going to come down, we might look for something along these lines. Right now, are we going to hit the median line? Maybe. Right, so something along those lines. So we'd be looking for it right here. So I think that's a reasonable place to be looking. Now, I always look left to see if I've got anything here. This pivot had some significance here. This was previous support. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be support, but then I've got a couple other, this shelf here that we talked about in the last video, that potentially now prior resistance has become the support. So I've got this little channel here that would be deep. Now we'd be paying attention here now to this wave 1 high. I guess I should wick that off. I haven't yet. So there's my wave 1 high. This would invalidate in terms of this being an impulse. We could still have a diagonal. So we got to pay attention to that. But this area here, as we return, well, let's move this over here. We don't know exactly what's happening here yet. We don't know whether or not we've got an A. We don't know anything yet. This could be an expanded B. There's no way to tell just yet. But the fact that we pushed up here to get a couple of ticks from that 1618, fairly good sign, because it looks as though we may have completed now our third coming into that 1618. So with that established now, the anticipation would be we'd look for some sort of a retracement. Now, it could be all the way out here, could be at the median line. First place I'm looking for it is at the median line. So given just the 2 to the 3, 38, 23 is right here, right? We've seen many times where it's only made the 23. If it's going to stay very strong here, that's a real contender. But what I would be anticipating is some sort of a move down here to get to this, and then we go here. Now, that's going to put us up at 8,100. That's not enough to confirm that we've got a new trend, as we got to get through 85.50, as I was just showing you, but it would certainly be a good start. If we got up here, then we'd be set, we'd have a completed 5-wave structure, then we'd anticipate the 3 coming down. So that's about as thorough a look as I can give you here. This will be the tell. So with that established, now we know what we're looking for. We're looking for support and for some price response here as we come down and approach the median line and approach that 38. And you could bring in this previous support, potentially support again. So you've got this buy zone here. Oh, let's call it between 71.50 and 7,000. You've got a little buy zone here with the potential for this to come up here and approach that target. Now, if we do that, that gives us a very, very good indication here that we have a strong candidate here for this to be a new 1 wave, and we've got a trend change. Now, before we start celebrating, because this still has yet to happen, we're not ready for that, we got to consider the bearish count. All right, now let's go over here. Now this got a little bit weaker here with the break of that 65. Here's the bear count. So if you're working from this pivot down here, as I was showing you, it's not unreasonable to consider this as just a very deep 2. As we know, Bitcoin's personality has been very difficult to analyze and get clear on the 2 as it's happening. But because we do not overlap here, this could be played as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, creating the A wave. This, as I took you through it, right? So this was the 5. So this was our A, B into our C. So let's just look at that. So from this pivot down to this pivot. Well, as I've shown you many times, yes, we went a couple of ticks through the 65, but then straight down, right? So from, what do we, well, call it 10,000, we get to 57, 80. Pretty good move off of that low. Well, where is that target? That's sitting right down here. Right, and you can see we've got a little confluence. So this from swing here, you can always tell looking to the left. So from where we start this pull, if this is an A wave and the B wave has just gone right to the golden zone, well, we still have an unrealized target down here at 5,200. Well, now look here. So if we do the same thing, this was teed up a little better. If we do the same thing from this, so if we go A to B, and this is now going to play as a 1, 2, 3, right? So this would be the bearish side of it, that coming down is a 1, that shallow 2, or B as we went through, skinny 2. I come down here in 5, that's a candidate for a 3. So this A, B, what we have as bulls labeled as 1, 2, we're in the 3, could certainly be an ABC. Right, so we've got this target down here that we've identified with that little hot box. So well, let's think about what's happening from this swing down here to this swing low. Well, if that's going to go from this pivot to this pivot right here. Well, note here, all we have done is we've still yet to get to the 50. Right, so if it's A, B, and this is 1, 2, 3, well, you know, we're still very possible that we've got this move down here to try and get to this, which note here now, right? So let me put the two of them together. So if I put this swing here to this swing here, right? So we get a confluence zone down here of targets, put them around the median line. That's where you'd look for it. All right, so we've got this range down here between 5,200 and 4,800. So you got a $400 target down here that we absolutely cannot ignore. That is a very real possible outcome. Now, where are some ways that we could invalidate that? Well, if we look at the symmetry here, if we take out this one wave high, this is going to get a lot tougher to be looking bearish here, because all of the subdivision that I took you through, and the reason I wanted to do that is because these are 5s. So we've got 5, 3, 5. If we start to try and force a count here saying, oh, okay, well, let's say that it comes and we break the wave 1 high. Well, then you're trying to retrofit it into a diagonal. And now you're going to try and figure out a way to label these very clear, very technical 5s as 3s. And I think that's a force fit. So this pivot here now becomes ultra important. Let's call it 79.59. So we got a couple of things at play here, right? So no, we've got the 50, we've got the wave 1 pivot, and we've got the downsloping parallel here to the median line with this modified chiffon. Right, so big fat resistance zone sitting right here. Now, can we get through that without rolling over and heading back down to hit these targets? Well, we don't know yet. We don't know yet, because this this 3-wave structure here is just that. It's 3 waves. So potentially now just another correction of the last of this, what we're calling, in the bearish view, you'd be calling this 1, 2, 3. So this is just a deep 4 going in. We push down for the 5. That potentially becomes the target here for a completed ABC. So we'd be connecting to ABC. So we'd have a giant WXY coming down here to this low. Right, that is a very real possibility. That is not my primary count. That is my alternate count. But you got to be aware of those. We can't just put our blinders on and say, "Oh, look at this big action, Bitcoin. We're back to the moon. It's diamonds and Lambos we're just not ready for that yet. Okay, so let's be cautiously optimistic about this as bulls. Recognize there's a very real possibility that there's one more flip over. But if that were coming, then I'll finish here. Right, so let's finish out with the longer term view. All right, so we look here. So here it is on Bitfinex, and I've got the full history. So this is the daily chart. So see, I don't think that this is what we have. I don't think that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. It's very deep for a 4. Now, granted, that's one hell of a 3, but I don't think that that's likely. What I think is more likely, now this is my bullish bias showing here. I think what's more likely is that we've done some sort of I don't know, I would have to dig into it, that we've done that this is a 3, 4, 5 that we completed up here, that this whole correction here is just a 2. All right, it's much more likely, given the depth of the retracement, and acknowledge I'm looking at this chart through my bullish lens, but this looks much more likely to me as a 2, implying much higher prices if that's a 2 than if it's a 4. If it's a 4, we're going to go, well, we'll probably get new highs, but then that will just be the setup before we come down and take off 50% of it. I don't think that's what's happening. I think this is a completed 5-wave structure, and we've just put in the deep 2. Right, and so if we think of it as a 2, we're looking for a 2 anywhere from the 50 to the 786. Well, we're in between 65 and the 786. Not there yet. Now, if that were going to roll over, let's go back to our bearish count. If that were going to roll over to this, let's say it's 4,700, well, we'd be coming back to some structural support. That would further my consideration of this as a second wave. So for you bears, there could be one more pivot down here. We might run into this structural support here, and then the big move starts up. But that still looks like that's the start of the 3 rather than the 4 to the 5. In my view, right? So take that for what it's worth, right? It's just my opinion, and I'm duly acknowledging my bullish bias that causes me to see this as a 2 rather than a 4. Right, so with all of that, I went 30 minutes. Okay, so just a couple of reminders that my marketing people are going to slap me for not doing this at the beginning of this video, but just want to encourage you to give us a follow over on Twitter, where we really do make an effort to engage with you and give you the opportunity to request analysis, whether it's traditional or crypto. We're running a contest currently. All you have to do is just enter, just with an email address, and you can, every time you share or like or tweet or join our public Discord, you get another entry. It's a random drawing, so the more entries, the higher your probabilities of winning. And that public Discord is a good thing to do. It's a good way to just kind of get a feel for what we're offering over on the members Discord. You won't have access to everything, of course, but you'll have access to a few channels, and you can interact and ask questions and engage with us and other members. So with all of that, I guess we'll wrap it. That will do it for the week. We may have an update from my partner over the weekend. I'm not sure, he's out of the country at the moment. But we will be updating if anything significant happens. Otherwise, you guys trade safely, have a good weekend, and don't forget to enter that contest. All right, guys, see you later.